Hey, so what's going on, people? Not sure if there's anybody out there just yet, but if it is, you'll probably be hearing this, seeing me in a second. So just gonna give this a minute for everything to get out there, get the notifications out there, however long that happens to take. Let people start coming around, watching and all that stuff. So let's see, what time is it? It's about 8, right? Yeah. See, there were people in here like 15 and 30 minutes ago, which, I mean, that's cool and all. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your day, but I don't really see why. I mean, well, what were you doing 15 minutes ago? I wasn't even here. Jack Dog, what's going on? I'm not sure what you're saying there, but I'll greet you. I have no idea what that says. I don't know if that's a typo or if you said that on purpose. Anthony Edmond Jr., welcome. Appreciate you stopping in. Jamie Fletcher, 1 a.m. in the UK. You know, usually when I do my lives and stuff, that's why I do them in mostly in the middle of the afternoon here, because I do have some UK folks that like to watch the things. And so if it's 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon here, it's what, 6 in the afternoon there, something like that. Try to be considerate for you guys, you know? So for you to be up right now, I appreciate that, because there's probably sleep that you could be having right now, but instead you're here. But I'm glad you're here, because as a UK guy or girl, I'm not quite sure, but as a UK person, you're probably going to appreciate what I'm about to unbox here a little more than the average person. So we'll find out in a minute, right? Hey, Luke Kane, what's going on? But yeah, so since there's people in here, I'm not gonna delay this. I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm not doing it till there's 20 people. I mean, there's been like 2 times that I've had more than 20 people in here. This right here, this is a Nike box, right? It came straight from the Nike factory. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump on into this. So how's everybody doing out there though? You guys doing all right? Hopefully you are. If you're not, let me know. We can talk about it. Am I glad you're here? Derek Armstrong says. Derek Armstrong disappeared from the face of the earth like sometime back in like 89, and he has just resurfaced. So everybody, round of applause for Derek Armstrong. Appreciate you stopping in. You've missed some amazing thumbnails, by the way. Put that over there. And also, if you stick around, I'm going to ask your opinion on some things. So, Nike box, right? But what's inside, other than obviously a Nike shoe? Let's go ahead and see, shall we? So, first off, got us right here. This would be an Air Max Plus 3. This particular colorway, the sunset tiger stripe thing, whatever you want to call it, this one is the one that I wanted a long time ago, and it finally came back in stock. I waited for it to go on sale, and it didn't went on sale, but it disappeared almost instantly after it went on sale. So here we are. It took a while, but I did get it. It's still under retail, so that's always a plus, and straight from Nike, so that's always cool too. But yes, the Air Max Plus 3. The only other Air Max Plus 3 I have is the, what's that, Hyper Royal, Hyper Blue, Photo Blue, some kind of blue. And it's still one of my most successful videos. Like, a lot of people watched that. A lot of people didn't like it because I had that Bad Religion shirt on it. And they're like, well, what's this? Bad Religion, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you obviously don't appreciate the finer things in life. So please be gone. All right, next up we have, what's this? Cover that part, a Nike box. All 3 of these boxes came straight from Nike. Let's see. I need that old school turtle set with the shredder. Yeah, you know, that's what I said. And then I gave them a whole mess of money to make it happen. I'm telling you, dude, when it comes to buying these things, these action figure things, it's a very slippery slope, which is what I said to McFly earlier today. What is that? Oh, yeah. I also bought a hat. Wait, what? What's going on here? Let me open this up. Okay. So, look at this, people. This is why I do these unboxings live sometimes. Are you seeing this? This is 3 hats. I only bought the one, but for whatever reason, they sent me 3. So now I have 3 hats that are exactly the same. Not much of a reason for that. But you know what? I'm going to take it because they were on sale. Well, it was on sale. So I was already under the retail price, and now I have 3 of them, which makes that like 3 times worth the price or something like that. Anyways, here we go. Another Nike box, right? Let's see what's going on in this. Liu Kang, are you talking about the 6? Bad Religion is top tier, finer things in life. Yeah, see, Derek knows. All right, let's see what we got going on in here. This right here, for the first time ever in my possession, is an Air Max Plus 2, right? I wasn't even sure that the Air Max Plus 2 existed until I started reading about things after I bought the 3, because I was like, when did the 2 happen, you know? And I forget exactly when it happened as far as year-wise, but here is one of them. This one is not my ideal color, to be completely honest, because it's very plain, which is fine, but sometimes I like things to be a little more festive. But I saw this, it was like $120, and I'm like, you know what? Let's see what these Air Max Plus 2s are all about. So now I have an Air Max Plus 2. There's the bottom of that. In case you're curious what that looks like, just a standard black and some gray, and some white kind of in there. I'm not seeing, there might be some 3M on these little gray areas. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to figure that out later, unless this phone is gonna do something for me. Let's see. Nope, looks like it's just your standard, just somewhat shiny stuff going on. So not a big deal, you know what I'm saying? But I'll be putting those on a little bit later to see what's up with them. Buy one, get 2 free. Yeah, crazy, right? So now that we've gone through the first 2 boxes, you can probably guess what the 3rd box is going to be, right? First one to guess it gets a thumbs up from me. So let's go ahead and pull this thing out. This box, also from Nike. It'd be nice if they gave me if they doubled up on this. Let's see. I'll just open it from this side since this one's closer to me. And set that down there. And here we go. This is shaping up to be possibly not what I ordered. Wait, no, that's right. This should be right. Usually when you see a box like this, it makes you think certain things, which will be the thing that I didn't order. But indeed it is an Air Max Plus, right? We kind of worked our way down from 3 to 1. This, though, unlike the normal style, it's got that whole craft thing going on with like the recycled fabrics and whatnot. Got that crater outsole, right? You know, kind of like you saw on the VaporMax 21 or 2020s and something else, the Flyknit Presto, the React Presto Flyknit. So yeah, you've seen that on a couple things, and now you're seeing it on this. They also did a bunch of 90s and 1s in this style not too long ago, with as far as that fabric thing goes. And you got some stitching back here, you know, it's that whole recycled stuff that they're doing. So there you go. And so all of these will be reviewed at some point. I just don't know when, but I figured, you know what? I'll at least sit down here and talk about them with you guys, because why not? And we're going to come back to this in a second. It's been a busy little while. So I do have one more box right here, right? And then we'll talk about some stuff. So pull out these handy dandy scissors. as I once said, sharper than a penguin in a three-piece suit. So, look at that. Vans things. Can you see that? Maybe you can. It's hard for me to really see the full screen and whatnot sometimes. That's good. Okay. I can sit that down there. Let's go ahead and, these are both very similar, right? Here's the thing. Sometimes when things are cheap enough, instead of choosing one or the other, you just buy both, right? So these were regularly like 60, maybe 70, something like that. But they were on sale for like 45, 50, I don't know. It was cheap, and Vans are already cheap, and these were cheaper. So I was like, you know what? For the price of two of these, that's usually like one Air Max or something. So let's live a little. So I bought two, right? Why not? So get that one out here. Set that down. You wouldn't believe the mess that has just all of a sudden appeared in this living room. So both of these are corduroy. Let's give this camera a second to adjust. So this one here is kind of like a green and a blue and a slight yellowish green. So that's what's going on over here. And it's the old school style. It's got that little strip on it. This one is more of like a yellowish, kind of sort of a dirty purple. It looks like somebody spilled some stuff on it and tried to clean it, but didn't do the best job. And so they just left it. I'm cool with the look, but that's the best way to describe it. Anyways, these are both in that comfy cush line, right? So they're supposed to be comfortable. And if you saw what I said about the last couple Vans reviews I did, the comfort is really not there. So I'm thinking that these comfy cushions should be comfy, right? I mean, right? So we're going to figure that out when I do the review and stuff, you know, when I put these things on and whatnot, because, you know, that's the only way to know. So there we go. There we go. Now I know that there are a few more people in here than were in here when I started doing all these unboxings and whatnot. So we're going to do a quick recap for those of you who were not with us 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. I guess, well, again, you just saw these, right? The two Vans. Both of the I did say there's corduroy, right? Both of these are corduroy. See that? Yeah. It's one of those materials that I'm a huge fan of. So two pairs of corduroy Vans because I like corduroy and it says they're comfortable. 3 hats for reasons that are unknown to me, but you know, the whole Iowa thing, right? I'm an Iowa guy. You can't see the pillows because they're out of the shot. And then, let's see, set this down here. There's one of these. Grab that thing and then grab this down here. Then also we got the Air Max Plus, the 1, the 2, and the 3, right? So, like I said, I happened to catch some pretty decent discounts and I took full advantage of things that I didn't necessarily need to take advantage of, but now I have them and that's cool because, again, I really wanted these. I did a review, not a review, like a list of shoes inspired by other shoes or something like that. I was talking about how this is one of my favorite colorways. Yeah, I meant it when I said that. That's why I buy a lot of these colors. And then this was just, it's been a long time since the last Air Max Plus review I did. I want to say it was November or October of 2019 with those optic yellow and anthracite Air Max Pluses that I got from Final Score. They're like $90, something like that. And I don't think I've bought a straight up Air Max Plus since then. So had to pick one of these up. And of course, the Air Max Plus 2, I was just curious. And if you're already buying a 1 and a 3 and they happen to have a 2, why not get the 2 also, right? Live a little. Also, if you happen to follow me on Legram, you probably saw that I did pick up this guy today, right? Got Krang. And unlike that Shredder video, I now know that there's a flap here. So you can't see him in there, but you know, he's up here, right? He goes in here though. That's how that works. So sooner or later, I'll get this thing opened and all that good stuff. So yeah, Krang. Picked him up from Target today. And also, on the subject of Target, they got me yesterday or the day before for this right here, this Macho Man from WrestleMania 3, when he went against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which was the first WrestleMania that I owned. I might still have the VHS somewhere. I don't watch it because I don't have a VCR, but I might still have the tape. Yes, it is a nice fig there. Thank you very much for noticing. And so I think that's it as far as the stuff I bought. I do also have the AEW Unrivaled Series 3 over there. I unboxed and I recorded the review today, somewhat. I just haven't gone quite into the picture taking portion, you know, where I actually get those close-ups of the figures and all that, because that's like the biggest part, which is why I haven't done it yet. But let me pull out one of those, because I was saying to you, Derek, where is it? Okay. Let's go ahead and go through this set here, give you guys a sneak peek, because like I said, I've got 2 reviews that'll be coming up this week for sure, right? There's one that's going out tomorrow morning, and then there's one going out the next morning. And these other ones, I'll just do those whenever I get to them. Darby Allin, right? You know, what is that thing on? I don't know where the remote is. Otherwise, I'd turn it off. Anyway, so we got Darby Allin there, right? And then, of course, the Bucks of Youth, right? They were part of this set as well. It actually kind of matches the shirt if you're catching that, right? See, like he's got these colors here. So there's that. You got Pac or Pac. I never remember how that's pronounced. Orange Cassidy right there, of course. And then Riho, who looks not good. Like, her face sculpt on this is just not done well at all. But yeah, so those are for you, Derek, because I know you're a wrestling kind of guy, so I thought I'd show you some wrestling kind of figures. But yeah, I was never a Riho fan, and that face makes me want to look at something else. So that does not help. And he says they really do. I'm not quite sure exactly what you're responding to, but I'm going to take that as you agreeing with me, which means you're on the right track. So thanks. But yeah, so that was pretty much it. I got through those 5 pairs of shoes and a couple figures. So I just wanted to put those out there because, like I said, I'm probably not going to record too much more because I've done a lot of reviews lately. So now I'm kind of like, you know, I'll get to the rest when I get to them. It's just I had this huge stack of boxes piling up, and I'm like, I got to get through these things. And I thought it was all done. And then Vans had a sale and Nike had a sale, and now I'm back to the drawing board. So let's see. Oh yeah, the matching the Bucks thing. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, I didn't even think about that before because when you see the review, if you watch it later, I just did it. So I was wearing this shirt and I'm like, oh, because normally, you know, I'll wear a shirt that goes along in some kind of way with the review I'm doing. And in this case, I just figured, you know, the Elite in general is good enough. I didn't expect it to actually match. So that was a pleasant surprise, much like seeing you here. So I do appreciate that as well. Good to have you back in the mix. I think that's the right word to use there. But yeah. So let's see. Make sure I didn't miss anything else in there. Okay, yeah. I see there was some people over there earlier, but looks like they've probably just kind of ducked out or something, which is fine. I mean, it says there's 8 people watching. 1 is me, because That's how that works. And then you're one. So that's 6 other people that are just kind of somewhere here, just kind of not really making their presence known, just hanging out, I guess. Not sure why people do that. Okay, there's Corby. He's there. I know he jumps in a lot. He's also an Air Max Plus guy. I want to say you're in Australia, is that right? Or I feel like he's one of the Australia guys. Could be wrong though. Yeah, I was just unboxing a bunch of Air Max Pluses, dude. One pair of ones. Where did I put these things? Oh, hey, Teflon Don is one. See, so he's saying, so yeah, one of these right here. Starstruck. Yeah, right. If anybody's ever starstruck by seeing me, it's probably because they've only seen one other person before. But yeah. So got these Air Max Pluses here, and then a 2 and also a 3. So the reviews will be happening later. And I got a hat to go with each one, right? So that's cool. I can change hats as much as I change Air Max Pluses. But yeah, it's been a long, like Air Max Pluses are one of my favorite Air Max models, period. I've said that before on the record because there's a video talking about it. Booker T is on the cover of it. But I just don't see them often in colors that I want, or I don't see them for prices I want to pay. Usually it's the price thing, because I saw some black and red ones, but they were standing strong on that 170. And then when they finally went on sale, they disappeared immediately. So I'll probably never get that pair. And I haven't seen any other ones lately, except for these. And I saw these and I thought, well, those aren't bad. And I was kind of second guessing myself. I don't know if I wanted them. And then they started selling out. And I think they may have sold out. They definitely sold out in some sizes, possibly also mine. But I didn't want to wait too long and then not have them. Because again, it's like the first Air Max Plus I've seen that I liked in a long while. And this whole new style, this like recycled thing seemed kind of cool. Kind of reminds me of the, what are those? The Vapor Max 20s. I don't like how there's this glue stain on the side, but that might be cleanable. It's feeling like it'll just come right off. Right there. Yeah, it's feeling like it should just come right off, so that shouldn't be a big deal. Yeah. See, almost as good as new. Just need to clean that up just a little bit. It should be just fine. But yeah, the Air Max Plus, I think the other favorites I put in there was probably the 1, the 2010, the 2009, and right, something else, because I can't remember what the 4th one or the 5th one would have been. The Plus, yeah, I don't know what it would have been. But the Air Max 2 is also a pretty good one. The Air Max 2 Lite doesn't look like much, but some serious comfort goes into those things. I don't know. And no 90s. I like the 90s. I buy a fair amount of them, but it's not a favorite. I don't know about you guys. If you happen to have any favorite Air Max models, you're welcome to share those with me. But otherwise, let's see. What is it? 23 minutes. So yeah, but yeah, I wasn't really planning to be on here too long or anything. I just wanted to open these things up, share that with you guys, and let you know what's going on. So when you don't see these, when you don't see any reviews for a little while, you will at least have seen what I will be putting up. So then when it comes around, you can be in the cool kids group, and you'd be like, I knew he was going to review those. I saw him like 2 weeks ago. You can do that thing, right, to your peers, and they'll be like, wow, how'd you know? I guess unless they also watch this live, because it's not like it's a hidden thing. It's very much public. Let's see. Liu Kang, definitely Air Max Plus is one of my favorites. P-Town and these Air Max 95s. He would say something like that. Don't tell him I said that. 98 or 90, 97, that was the other one. Yes, thanks for reminding me. Well, I know you didn't say that to remind me, but the 97 was my other favorite. Yeah. And that's another one that it falls into like the plus category where I like them a lot, but I just don't see them very often at all, honestly. And when I do see them, like the colorways are kind of like, some of them are okay. But I did buy two Air Max Plus, or excuse me, two Air Max 97s in December. One for my dad, one for me, different colors. And that was, and before that, I think the last 97 that I bought was those those winter utilities, and that was late 2019, mid 2019. Yeah, so again, it's just one of those colorways that does not come up very often at all. Unlike, the 90s and the ones, those were out there all the time. And a couple of years ago, they were making a lot of 98s. But usually lately, I get that it's the 30th anniversary for the 90, but otherwise, the 1 and the 90 is pretty much all you're going to see. And the 270 or the 200 or whatever the new thing is, right? Because they got to push that. But as far as the old models, the legacy models, yeah. Congrats on 4K too. Just noticed that. Yeah, that happened at some point recently, obviously. The first of January is when I happened to hit that thing, because I noticed that. I was like, oh, look at that. Look at me moving on up in the world. I mean, I know it sounds like I was very underwhelmed, and I did appreciate it, but numbers are just numbers. They don't really do a whole. Here's the thing about the subscription count, right? Subscriber count. I'm going to go on a quick rant here. It means mostly nothing except for a couple key moments, right? The 100 point, that one holds some weight because that's when you can get a custom address, and it makes you feel like you're a real boy because you're in the triple digits, right? And now you get that whole youtube.com/shoesupsleevesdown thing, so it makes you feel official. And then you get to that 1,000 point, right? And the 1,000 points, like, okay, now I can potentially get paid for this, so that's kind of cool. But after 1,000, it's like turning 25. Like, there's nothing after that for a while, right? So you hit that 1,000 mark, and then after that, personal opinion, of course, when I look at anybody between 1,000 and like 9,999, I look at it all the same. If you get 10,000, then I'm like, wow, this guy's doing something. And then after that, I consider that to like the 49,000, same range. But then you hit 50, it's like, this person clearly is not real. Clearly, right? It's some kind of conspiracy. It can't be. So I look at it like that. So when people are talking about the subscriber count, trying to get more people and more viewers and stuff, it's like, don't worry about that, right? If it really mattered, if that number really held the weight that people thought it held, there'd be 4,000 people in here right now. Are there? No, of course not, because that'd be silly. But that's why it doesn't matter. Personal opinion, of course, everything always is that I say, unless I'm quoting somebody. So you'll see me at 7K by the end of the year. I mean, is that possible? I guess, maybe. Let's see, because when did I hit 3,000? I don't remember. It's in my like channel somewhere. It's like in the about section, wherever that is. But I did that, so I don't know. I think I get like 100 subscribers every 2 weeks or something, more or less. So it's possible, maybe. I didn't do the math, but if that's 200 subscribers a month, no, that wouldn't make sense. I don't think no, 7,000 might not be doable. Oh, but I will set a goal then. Since we're talking about numbers, by the end of the year, with you guys, that's my witness, my goal by December 31st, I will have 4,035 subscribers. That gives me about 11 months to get 5 more viewers in here. I think I can do it. Hopefully, with your help. That's normally this is where people would do that whole like, comment, subscribe thing, but I'm not that guy. Hey, BX is in here. What's going on, man? We are talking about, I was ranting about how I don't care about subscriber counts, which probably means that my numbers will go down tomorrow. But I was unboxing some shoes. I think that says in the, yeah, it says it in the title, live unboxing. Let's see. BX is trying to hit 100 and he doesn't hit, but he doesn't put out content. You know, you don't necessarily have to put out content to get viewers. It's because that's what I've seen. Some people somehow just get the viewers and they have nothing going for themselves. I don't get it, but it happens. I guess if you go around and just subscribe to enough things and put yourself out there enough, all the spam bots start getting to you, or just random people. I don't know. But for me, let's see. Oh, here's another little tidbit of information for you guys. 2 years ago today, January 19th, 2019, was the day I actually built this channel. I didn't start uploading videos until the 21st, but all my videos were already shot, like I think earlier in the month. But yeah, so technically, this channel is 2 years old today, but I don't really count the 19th. I count the 21st because that's when I actually started putting videos on there and publishing them. Anywho, BX, to answer your question, I bought a bunch of Air Maxes and I bought a couple hats. So Air Max Plus 1, 2, and 3 in that order, depending on which side you look at first. Either way, the 2 is in the middle. And then I bought these hats over here. It actually reminds me. Let me go grab this other thing, because now that BX is here, it just reminded me of something. So BX, do you remember when we did that unboxing for those Nike by You shoes that we got? Remember that? Like a month ago, something like that. When that happened, I had also bought a shirt, and I was gonna do that unboxing. Totally forgot. So I'm just gonna do it now. Okay, not true. I have a hat on in my Air Max 90 Mars landing video for sure, and possibly my Hyperspace 350 video. Yeah. So I bought this Iowa shirt because I buy Iowa things relatively often. And I was going to unbox it that day we were doing the Nike by You thing. Totally forgot. It's been sitting in that box in the corner since that day. Let's see. Let me catch up on these things here real quick. Let's see. Back before I set my vids to private, I wasn't putting up vids, but some were still gaining views. Once I get settled, I'll start creating some videos. Don't wait, dude. Don't worry about being settled. If you look at my first several videos, you'd think I lived in a cave, and it was fine. People still watched it. I've copped the court purple Jordan 3s. How about you guys? Jordan 3. Oh, yeah. Those are pretty nice. They kind of reminded me of the dark Concord 12s in some ways. But yeah, that one, did that release here? I remember that was the one where like it came out in everywhere else first, and then I was like, this is too much to keep up with. So I just stopped paying attention because I am very finicky like that. Fickle, maybe? One of those F words. Let's see. And then I kind of remember. Okay. Yeah, but no, so the reason I remember wearing a hat in that video is because somebody, they left a comment about how I looked homeless in the video. And I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I see it. I totally see it. Okay, so it was international only. Okay. Yeah, because I remember some people were buying it. I feel like some people did buy it stateside wise to try and like get those extra views and stuff. But the tricky thing about that sometimes is that there are times when things are limited or they're only overseas. So that makes you think like, oh, hey, look, I'm going to have this thing that no one else has. But sometimes people still don't care about this shoe, like the Hyperspace 350. So it doesn't always do a lot for you. I mean, if it's a dunk, of course, you're going to get all the views because it's a dunk. But I don't know, I feel like a lot of people were just like, with that one. But I think that it looks pretty solid and that people overlooked the good of it. Personal opinion, of course. Dude, like if you've seen that picture, like that thumbnail, let me find that video in my, I probably have to find, oh man, that's actually, no, I should be able to pull that up pretty easily. I usually say, I have all my thumbnails saved, you know what I mean? Because you never know when you'll need to get to them. But what video was that? 90. I'll have to look for it. But yeah, that Air Max 90 thing, like the dude was just like, man, what is, you look homeless. I forget exactly how he phrased it, but I was like, I couldn't even say anything because he made perfect sense. I was just like, man, this guy got it. Let's see. Yeah, so it might have been the 350. Yep, there it is. God. Let's see. Where's this? Let me find the screen share option. It's not necessarily that particular one, but because sometimes I just save multiple pictures, but that's, yeah, that's from that video. And I was like, yeah, I can see how I might just not be looking my best. You need a thumbnail tutorial? Dude, like a lot of the times I just dial it in, you know, mail it in. I just mail it in when it comes to the thumbnails. I'm just like, whatever, dude. But then every so often, if it's like a sneaker battle or there's some joke I want to make, then I go all out. Like the Citron thumbnail is still one of my favorites to this day. So let's see. What else? There's a South Park one I did. There's the Dark Order one. That one was pretty good. Which battle one was it? There was one of the battle ones that really stood out. I can't remember who it was. Was it the Pain one? That one just came out really good. Let's see. Yeah, those, I've never even worn those because I wasn't doing on feet back then, and I just never wore them. Let's see. But where's the, what is that? What's that? I don't see them. No, it's, trust me, like I saw it when I looked at it because I was like, it might have been one of the other ones, but still, they were all taken in the same day. But I'll have to find, because it might have just been, like I said, the other one, because I do multiple reviews in the same days. But where's that Citron thing? Man, it is. I tell you, I don't know how you guys do it, like, but I'm telling. Well, actually, none of you guys are really like the YouTube type folk. Like, not all of you. I know Homegrown is. I don't know. Luke Hang is. But like keeping all this stuff organized it's worth it. It's just time consuming. Like that one, because, you know, I don't know why I did all that, but in that moment, on that day, I was like, oh, this is what makes perfect sense. So you must be well dressed as homeless in your area. I mean, not around here. Not around here. But yeah, the Citron. I need to wear those at some point. One day it'll happen. Maybe. Let's see. I still have my Mars Air Max 90s. Well, good. I mean, you should. I still have all my shoes too. You know what I'm saying? Minus the ones that I said I was going to give away have mostly been given away. There are a couple that I still haven't got to, like the purple Air Max 2 lights. I have not given those to my brother yet because I wanted to at least wear them one time. And I forgot that they even existed until like 3 days ago. So that's kind of on me. And otherwise, the other stuff that I have, like, you know, I'll downsize whenever the time makes sense. Because I know sometimes people just kind of like sell their old shoes, but I just feel like nobody wants to buy my old shoes, right? Because it's like, why would they? So you remember seeing that one? You're like, wow. Yeah, I was like, whoa. Remember that song? This song was awful. I was listening to a tape earlier, and man, like, so it's a mixtape I recorded when I was in high school because I was in my music room, and I was like, you know what? Let me just turn on this stereo in here because it'll be easier than getting the because there was some Sonos issues going on. So I was like, I don't feel like dealing with that. So I just turned on the tape deck because there's a tape that's been in there since like '99, and man, that it's like a time capsule. It's like there's a lot of corn and some Limp Biscuit was in there, ICP, little Master P, right? I was like, what is this? Like, there's no flow to it, you know. It's just like a barrage, just a mess of stuff, just hitting you from all angles, and you're like, but you definitely know that whoever made this was indecisive in what they wanted in '98 or '99. Let's see, that needs to be a LinkedIn photo. I mean, I can send it to you and then you can make it your LinkedIn photo. They'll buy them because you're YouTube famous. I don't know if you're using the word famous correctly in that sentence there, Homegrown Kicks, Mr. Homegrown, because I am not famous. I've though I will say a couple, well, and again, don't get the association of the conversation mixed up here. A couple weeks ago, during a pay-per-view, what was the pay-per-view where Charlotte came back? I forget what that one was. Was it TLC? I think it was TLC. But anyways, I was in the Thunderdome, sitting there just kind of like watching with underwhelmed eyes because that's how that works. And Charlotte had just won a belt, and you know, I'm there in the background because they shot it from that angle. And then like 3 or 4 people messaged me on like Graham, and they're like, "Hey man, is that you in this Kevin Owens tank top?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is me." So I felt kind of cool then. It's like people are look at this. People are knowing me from their wrestling things and stuff. Limp Biscuit Rolling was my song because of the Undertaker. Dude, like I almost bought an Undertaker bike toy today. Like I don't know if you saw that. I posted in my little Instagram stories, but my stories get very crowded sometimes. But I saw it and I was like, man, I should buy this. And then I didn't, which is good because I know you weren't here earlier, but because I left there and the next store that I went into had this Krang in it, right? This Krang. So naturally I bought this. So there's that. Because you know, I mean, I was about to say I can't just keep buying can't keep buying figures all the time. But as I sit here right now, I'm surrounded literally by shoes and wrestling figures. So there's somewhat of a lie in there. Oh, Derek, do you see that? I mean, I know you're aware of this, but look at that hands in the pocket action that they have going on in there. This is pretty all right. Though I will say, favorite of the bunch is definitely going to be Darby, because he's got that, you know, it's got the skateboard thing going on. It's got the face paint. It's kind of like it's like a tech deck. Remember the tech decks from like years ago? Any chance you would sell your micro brawler fig for this month? Not likely, but what was this month's figure? Do you remember? Or are you talking about the one will be arriving in a few days? Because I don't even know what the one that's arriving is, honestly. What are my thoughts about SneakerCon in Ohio coming up in March? I don't live in Ohio, and therefore I have no thoughts about it whatsoever. Like completely sincere when I say that. It means absolutely nothing to me. That's like you saying like, it's raining in Wyoming. How do you feel about that? It's like, so yeah, I don't know what you expected from me, but I don't care at all about it. If people go, I hope they have a good time. I know some people that live in Ohio, and I'm sure they'll be there in some capacity, but I live in Virginia. There's like several states between here and Ohio, like a lot. Hey, Jeezy's in here. Yeah, Joel, um, who is it for this month? What's the micro brawler for this month? Have I ever been to one? I didn't. I didn't even know SneakerCon was a thing until 2019. So no, I have not. I yeah. Before 2019, I just thought some people liked shoes and some people didn't, and the people that did would just go to the store early and buy them. I didn't know there's a whole other level to it, whole extra layers, all this stuff. Now I'm a little bit more in the know on things, and it's like, dude, what? Let's see. I would buy my great, or he would buy my grape Jordan 5s. Huh. Yeah, I haven't even see, and that's the thing. Like, if I ever sold my shoes, there are a lot that are unworn. So that's cool, right? Because it makes it easier to sell them. And the ones that are worn, because my rotation is like insane, other than outside of running, even with the running shoes, a lot of the things still look very much new. Like those Air Max, no Air Max, those Ultra Boost Uncaged right there. You can't see them, but I've worn those a couple times. They still look fantastic. Let's see. Jake the Snake. Oh, if it's Jake the Snake, that's a keeper for me. Sorry, guy, but like Jake the Snake is one of the few dudes that I'm a huge fan of. Because when I was younger, he was one of the first figures that I ever saw. Like one of my earliest wrestling figure memories of me being like, however old I was, and probably like 88, was seeing my friend having this Jake the Snake figure, right? And then I saw his other ones. He had like the Big Boss Man, and he had the blue steel cage or the ring or something. But that snake figure, I was like, man, he comes with a snake. I actually have a Jake the Snake right over there. I had two, but I gave one to JJ all day because I was like, you know what? JJ likes wrestling because, downsizing. So, okay. So, well, I mean, you misspelled his name, Homegrown, but I'm going to overlook that. But yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the only issue then becomes like the whole stateside thing and like mailing stuff to overseas. Because let me tell you about this, right? I don't know how many of you guys were paying attention to me in late 2019, but I gave somebody a pair of the Black Static 350s, right? Because they were a longtime supporter of whatever it is you want to call what I do. And he was always, not always, but he would often bring those up because that was one of his shoes that he really wanted. And so I bought a pair and I asked him for his address and I sent it to him. And the thing that sucked about that was like, dude lives in like London somewhere. And they were so expensive. It was like $60 to mail those shoes over there. So I'd already spent like $240 to buy them. And then that's like $300. So you round up. I basically spent like $1,000 to send that dude those shoes. So when it comes to selling things overseas, like you got to really want it. You know what I mean? Because like if you're gonna pay for the shipping, because I'm not, taking that bill again. And so I couldn't see why anybody would want to buy like say a standard retail or general release, not limited in any way type shoe for the price that it would end up costing after shipping. Let's see. Yeah, I could sell my shoes easy too. P-Town, don't come in here making this all about you. We were talking about me tonight, guy. Jesus Christ, the nerve of that man. Him and his 95s. Not welcome here. Let's see. How much was the turtle set? I don't know. You can watch the review. Yeah, like part of me puts those things out of my mind after I buy them because I don't want to think about it. Like, what is it? Like when I got this Krang and I got to the register today and the little number pops up on the target screen, and I was like, oh my Lord, what is this thing doing being so expensive? And then I just put my card in, hit the little things, and walked away. I was like, I already have it. I'm not turning back, you know? Let's see. Corby Man, the 90s and early 2000s was epic for tech deck. Yeah, see, I had a bunch of those back when I was in Cisco class, like, you know, Cisco, like networking. I used to be just, you know, just like kick flipping my way all around, man. It's fun. I was probably easily entertained also, though, because I mean, it was like 99, 2000. There wasn't really a lot going on in the world. We'd do that. Then we'd play some Quake 2, maybe Quake 3, depending on when in the year it was. And also No Mercy for N64 or Revenge. Again, I can't remember exactly what was when. Could have been an overlap. Let's see. Did I watch WandaVision? I did not watch WandaVision. I have HBO Max because I have AT&T, so it's free with my plan, but I have not watched it yet. I'm going to. I just haven't done it. Also, if you happen to have, I mean, Disney Plus, like, no, my mom has Disney Plus because she has like Verizon, excuse me. But like, she just gave me the thing. I set up an account on it. Let's see, Corby. I'm triple tasking. There's only one task that's important right now, homegrown, and you know what it is. Bro, I'm literally born in the 2000s these days. Let's see. Krang was not 50. I honestly don't remember. I don't have the receipt over here. I'm in Tech 2. What? Quake was so much fun. Dude, like, Quake 1, 2, and 3 were like all through high school for me. Those were like the things to do. I remember like when I lived here in Virginia, I was going to school up in Newport News at the time, and there's this computer lab, and we would be in there every morning before our classes actually started, playing like 20 people on just, you know, on LAN or whatever, just running around in Quake 1. And it was just the shareware version. So we only had that one level that was like well, we only had so many levels, but we would just play that deathmatch, and that one where the end boss is, where there's like the lava in the middle. I forget what they call it, but we would just play that like every day. It was crazy, man. And that was back before, you know, you couldn't really move like you can now. You couldn't duck back then, I don't believe. You know, there's a lot of stuff that you couldn't do, but it was like Quake was my thing. Still is. Like, if I was to turn it on right now, I'd probably like sit there for the next like couple hours before I realized I should do something else. Let's see. No Mercy, the best wrestling game of all time. Yeah, I mean, I will say that the runner-up, you know, excluding the similar games like, you know, how World Tour and all those other ones, the next game style that was my runner-up would be WWF Raw for Sega Genesis. That game, I played so much of that. Again, back when I was in one of my programming classes, like when I was doing the C++ thing, like I would write some stuff, you know, to like do whatever classwork was, and then I just sit there and play Raw on my Sega Genesis emulator for the rest of class. And the teacher, she never said anything, you know, so I just kept doing it. And I passed the class like an A. I don't remember a whole lot about that particular language, but I tell you what, you want to throw down in some Raw on Sega Genesis, I'm your guy, and I will take you down. Also, Super Brawl for the Super Nintendo. I played a lot of that too. Ron Simmons was on there, Johnny B. Bad, Vader, Sting, Ric Flair. Yeah, that was a pretty solid lineup. There's only like 8 people on it, but it was a good one. Let's see. Had WrestleMania for N64. Yeah, that was a good one. Let's see. 007 for N64. So I think what held me back from getting really into 007 was that I've, for the longest time, been a PC guy. So when I saw people doing that, they're like, oh man, this is cool. You run around and shoot people. It's like, I have Quake, dude. Like, why do I need this? And then even years later, when people are like, oh man, Halo, like, you got to play. It's like, dude, I have Unreal. Like, why, you know? And somebody like they knew that I hadn't played Quake, so it's like, hey man, jump in with us, because it was like there were a couple TVs set up in the break room, so the Xboxes were all linked, right? And so we're playing, and I'm just running through this dude for the most part. I didn't really know the level of the guns, but with my limited knowledge of, just how to play those games in general, I was running circles around him. It's like, I thought you never played. I'm like, dude, like you play one, you've played all of them, at least at this point. So Thunder, I never owned Thunder, but I did have Nitro for PlayStation. They were both on PlayStation 1. I played a lot of Nitro because I remember playing a lot of Eddie Guerrero. I think up triangle circle circle was the frog splash, if I remember right. But yeah, so I was a big Eddie Guerrero guy. And I think Alex Wright was on there too, because they would show those little videos when you're selecting your guy and you do the little dance. I was like, this freaking dork. But it was cool, I just play Alex Wright sometimes because of that. Streets of Rage 1 and 2. That, I don't know which one I played, but I played a fair amount of one of them because I didn't own it, but some friend of mine did, I guess. Do you guys remember Cyborg Justice? That was also a Sega Genesis game. Like you could like switch out your like arms and legs and stuff and like upgrade yourself. Like you could pull an arm off of an enemy robot and then like you put it on and then you can shoot lasers or whatever. That Cyborg Justice was something else. Toy Story was also a really good game for its time. Yeah. Let's see, Royal Rumble for Sega. Did I play that one? Not quite sure. I'd have to see it. In Your House for PlayStation. That was one of the first games that I saw after I got into wrestling, because I think it came out around that time. Because I got into wrestling like early '97, and my friend across the street or whatever, he had In Your House, and I was like, "What is going on here?" I remember seeing Goldust and Shawn Michaels, and it was very over the top. Let's see. The only 64 racing games I remember were like Cruising World or something like that. I think that's what it was called. But I don't remember playing it. I just remember a friend of mine had it, and I would be at his house all the time. Like I'd get there and he'd be playing that, and then we'd play wrestling instead. Because it was a better two-player game, I guess. Dinosaurs for Hire was the best Sega. I don't think I've heard of that. Dinosaurs for Hire. On the subject of dinosaurs though, I played a whole bunch of Jurassic Park, like the movie game. Well, obviously it's the movie game, but I'm just saying Jurassic Park was a go-to for me for a long, long time, because you could play as Dr. Grant, or you could play as the raptor, and then if you're playing as the raptor, you can eat the little dinosaurs. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. And Jeezy will probably back me up, but X-Men for Sega Genesis, like that first one, that one was really good. The Nightcrawler teleportation was awkward to me, but I remember playing a lot of that, whole lot of that. Let's see. Yes, Toy Story was too. Battletoads. I played a lot of Battletoads on Sega Genesis. I mean, not Super Nintendo, excuse me. And I also played a lot of, I don't know why, but for some reason when you say Battletoads, it makes me think of also Toe Jam and Earl. I played more of that game than anything. I played so much of it, but didn't really get anywhere. So it was like, I'd just be playing it. I'm like, man, what am I even doing here? Am I lost? Aladdin was also a good Sega game. Def Jam Vendetta, yes. Like I was all about that. I think I played mostly the first one was Vendetta and the second one was Fight for New York, or is it the other way around? I played the first one the most. I'll just say that. See, that's the second time somebody has brought up SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. Like I have not, like I own every SmackDown game. I think I own possibly every wrestling game for PlayStation, whatever, and GameCube and Nintendo 64 after like the WWF ones anyway. So basically, like most wrestling games over the last while, I own, but I have not played much of them enough to really like remember much, honestly. Let's see. Mercenary dinosaur game, platformer shooter where they wield guns. Remind me about that later, Derek, and I'll have to look up fire up the emulator. Jet Grind Radio was one that I thought was really cool, but I didn't have a Dreamcast until years and years later. Well, I say years and years. I didn't have a Dreamcast till like 2001, which I guess was only 2 years later. But still, I didn't. And even when I got it, all I got was Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or 1, whichever one was on Dreamcast. Let's see. So yeah, the Savage Land. Yeah, see the Savage Land. Yeah, see the Wide Soul knows. He beat Toe Jam and Earl. Like Home Alone had a game, huh? SmackDown versus Raw. We had one red eye and the other blue on the case. Oh, man! Like, so let me tell you something. Like, so the other day, right? I bought Well, this was a while ago because I like to buy all the games even if I don't play them. I like to just have the option, I guess. So the SmackDown versus Raw, or no, WWE 2K20 for the last wrestling game that they did, not the Battlegrounds thing, the one before that. I bought that, even though I heard all the reviews and from people who played it that it was not good. I bought it so I could have it. So I bought it, right, and then I went back to Target to tell them like, hey, like I want to return this because I don't like it was sent late, and then by the time it got here, I'd already bought another one. And basically they told me like, we'll give you your refund, but we don't want that game back. Like the game wasn't even open. Like I was like, man, Target won't even take this back. You know what I'm saying? So now I have 2 copies of a game that is awful that I will probably never play. So it's like these 3 hats over here, but I'm going to wear at least one of those hats. That's for sure. Let's see. I love the first SmackDown vs. Raw. Oh, wait, no, I read that already. WWF Attitude on Dreamcast was my game, and also Soul Calibur. Man, Attitude, if you could get past the loading times for if you were using creative players, that was good. That was a good one. There's a lot of arm bars in it, though. Little too many. Warzone was also good. I played so much of that. I just played tornado tags all the time. Let's see, what system do you mainly play on now? I'm sorry, I just joined the stream. So I'm a PlayStation guy, PS4 that is. So if you care to join me or add me or whatever, Tristan Stewart, 14 letters, no spaces, no dots, none of that stuff, and that's me. So you'll see if you search me right, like you should come up with a picture of the little monkey from Ape Escape. Remember the Ape Escape? Yeah, that guy. So I'm a PlayStation 4 guy. At some point, I'll probably be a PS5 guy. I'm not going to put the work in to find something that I'm not going to play a lot. When those things are just readily available, like a Nike Cortez, then I'll jump on the PS5 bandwagon. Also, I'm waiting on Ratchet and Clank to come out because that is the one game that I know that I want. Soul Calibur was one of those games. Overall, excluding Mortal Kombat 3 and Tekken Tag for PS2, I have never been good at a fighting game. Oh, I was also good at Bloody Roar 2 on PS1. But I've never really been good at fighting games, but I like playing them. So also, if anybody has Tekken 7 or Mortal Kombat, whatever the current one is, 10 or 11, again, PlayStation, let me know, and we can jump in there, and you'll probably beat me, but it'll be fun. So there's that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, do it. I'll spell that out for you guys, so that way you don't have to second guess yourself, because a lot of people don't spell my name right for one reason or another. I get it. It happens. Let's see. Did I miss anything? But yeah, Soul Calibur. That was a very cool looking game. it was on Dreamcast, or well, I remember friends of mine had it on Dreamcast. So I don't know if it was exclusive to that or not. I just know that I didn't have it. And what was that other game that was like that had the volleyball? Dead or Alive, right? Did any of you guys play Dead or Alive? Like, I had never got into those. I always felt like there was something missing from them. Not sure what it was though. But yeah, Tekken. Oh, Tekken 3 also. I remember watching my friend in arcades just destroy people with King because like once he grabbed you, that was it. He was not letting go. He was just gonna throw you around until your life bar was non-existent. It was crazy, man. He's like so talented with that. Bioshock. Why does that sound familiar? I can't. Was that the like? Is there like the guy who's like got like the underwater suit thing on, and there's like a drill on his hand or something? I like from like 2008, or am I right? Or am I thinking like Fallout? Bioshock sounds very familiar, but I cannot picture it. Okay, so Chip is saying that Dead or Alive was okay. See, that's how I felt. Like I would play it, and I was just like, this isn't bad, but it's like I can do something else. It's like if someone hands you like Medal of Honor, you might be thinking, I mean, I'm already knee deep into this Call of Duty, but I'll consider it. If anybody wants to jump in, you're more than welcome. Let's see. Oh, I was like, tell them. So yeah, Tekken 3 got you into fighting games. What got me into fighting games was, again, Mortal Kombat 3 was that's probably the earliest one I remember being good at. But Eternal Champions and obviously Mortal Kombat from back in the many moons ago, that Eternal Champions was something else. It was just like, it's crazy. And that and Clay Fighter was also a good one, at least visually. There was a Ninja Turtles fighting game. You guys remember that? I can't remember the name of it, but it was just like, maybe there was more than one, but there was a Ninja Turtles fighting game that I was into for a while as well. Let's see. Yeah, it was a Dreamcast game, Dead or Alive 2. Okay. Because, I think the only Dead or Alives that I played were on Xbox, like the big black original Xbox, like the Fable 1 Xbox. See, Jeezy knows about some Eternal Champions. I can see it. Man, Brian Fury, dude, like, okay, I wasn't good with Brian, but like every now and then I'd get lucky and somehow nail some cool combo. Brian looked like he could take out anybody. Like, man, there were a lot of good characters in Tekken. So, well, random tangent here, kind of related. So I was listening to the Chick Foley podcast the other day. If you're into wrestling, you should listen to it too. And they were talking about how Balrog and M. Bison, their names were originally like switched because M. Bison was supposed to be like Mike Tyson, but it was too close, and they were like, okay, well, let's throw it on the Russian guy, and then they threw like Balrog on the black guy. So yeah, random little bit of trivia for you in case you want to wow people with your Street Fighter knowledge. But Street Fighter 2, like maybe Tournament Edition or something. I was good back then. Like after the T-Hawk and Cammy games, like I didn't have the games after that, so I kind of like got lost in the shuffle. Okay, Killer Instinct almost got me to buy the Xbox. Was the Xbox that came out after the 360? The one? Yeah, and I almost bought an Xbox One for Killer Instinct. It was the only game I wanted because when I was younger, I had a Super Nintendo and I wanted, Killer Instinct, but I just never got it. And to this day, I have never played Killer Instinct outside of, I think I played as Orchid or Saberwolf one time in an arcade back in like 96. Yeah. So if anybody wants to like give me Killer Instinct and something to play it on, I'm over here with like arms wide open, to quote Creed. So There you go. Creed, they just don't get the respect they deserve anymore, probably because they're bad. Yeah, see, they were trying to avoid that Mike Tyson suit. Like, but I never even thought about that. I was just looked at M. Bison and just saw a big Russian dude. But then I heard that, I'm like, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. Let's see. My favorite wrestler of all time would be Shawn Michaels. Me, do I have one near me? I don't. The Undertaker is mine. There's one right over there. And if you saw what did I put up today? Oh, the Super Shredder video. If you saw my Super Shredder review, Undertaker made some cameos, little WrestleMania rematch kind of action going on with him and Super Shredder. Oh, look who has joined the party. A new challenger.
I'm back.
With the Raven shirt, right?
Right? Yeah.
Okay, I only caught from like the forehead up, but I was like, pretty sure that's Raven.
That's all you needed.
Dude, like, I was about to pull out a Kane figure, but it's not the 90s Kane. It's I think it's Survivor Series 2000, I think. But yeah.
Is that by like that's when he was running around with like the tank top, right?
I don't know. It might be. Let's see, where is it? So, and since it was having me like right on top, but yeah, it's this one.
Right, Jeezy, out of retirement.
Yeah. So this one right
here,
from the recent Survivor Series line, and also Survivor Series 2001. Then of course this guy here. Isn't there a flap or something on here? I thought there was. Like to open that up. There it is. Yeah. The Undertaker where he's dressed as Kane, it's like you cover it up and you just see like the two masks, the masks.
Yeah.
Then you open it up.
Oh yeah.
God,
I thought about picking that figure up, but I did not realize the eyes were masked. I never actually seen the box.
This one. Yeah, I would have done a video on this a long time ago. This was part of my Black Friday pickups for like 2019, but I just got the box with a bunch of other stuff like 2 months ago, whenever my mom was last up here. Let's see. So you know about the Undertaker's basketball career before his wrestling days. I saw some pictures of him like in those old-timey basketball get-ups, and it looked awkward. It really did. It was just like
it's like
I don't know how else to describe it. It was just awkward because if you look at the Undertaker often enough in modern times, when you see him in older days, it's just weird, It's
like looking back at Kevin Nash. I think he played basketball for the University of Tennessee.
I could see that. Actually, yeah, because I remember. Well, I didn't know it was that state, but I do remember him saying that he got into wrestling just because he knew he could make more money doing it, and sure enough, he definitely did. When I was in high school, our like gym teacher, he was saying how he used to play basketball with Kane. I guess they grew up somewhere together, well, kind of close to each other or something. So they were on the same team in school or college or wherever. I don't know. I mean, it was believable enough that I was like, I'm not going to fact check this. It's also like a time when I probably couldn't just, I couldn't just pull out a phone, It didn't work that way in the late 90s.
Yeah.
But
you gotta think like how much BS people like put out there, and we just accepted it.
Oh yeah, like back then, and again, like, and going back to like the video games thing and stuff, it's like I would go to arcades, right? Because that was a thing then, and I would see people like playing Mortal Kombat, doing all the fatalities, and and I'm like, how do they know these things? Because it wasn't like strong grapple and hit the like analog stick. No, you have to remember a combination of characters or a combination of buttons to do these moves, and you needed to know where to stand because like depending on who it is, So is like Hulk Hogan. So is Hulk Hogan like the Michael Jordan of wrestling? No, no. Michael Jordan is black, dude. Like, does he not know that? No, you maybe Virgil,
Who would
I
you
guess.
say? Who
No.
who would you say is the Michael Jordan of wrestling?
Virgil, because he's black. No, but
I
let's
would
see.
say Papa Shango.
I would let's see. Let me think here. I'd say Booker T then, if you want to go like, because he is that 5-time champ, right? One more.
Yeah,
All he needed was one more.
yeah,
And Triple H screwed him. Well, or wait, I forget
yeah.
how long. But either way, Triple H definitely beat him at a time when everybody was upset about it. But I will say, the Michael Jordan of wrestling overall, jokes aside, because Hulk Hogan he was just a popular character that kind of put it on the map, but he wasn't known for being good, right? Michael Jordan is known for being good. All right, I know what you mean, dude. We're just like, you know. But yeah, so I would say that Shawn Michaels, because he is like, when you hear even like wrestling people talk about who they think the best is, his name is almost always the one they throw out there. Because like you look at other people that came along later and like they've done well for themselves. Like in some ways you could make that argument about John Cena, right? But not from my perspective, right? I'm not going to take anything away from the dude. I got a couple John Cena figures floating around here, but he's just he made a good name for himself, right? And he's very well known throughout the world, right? But in that same sense, there's another certain guy that you could throw in that category as well, right? But his name we don't mention around here.
The Rock. I'll say it all day. I don't know. I still don't know why you hate the man, but I thought he was great. But Homegrown actually put on there. He's like, "Well, what era are we talking about?" And you know that I think that's something that needs to be taken into consideration because you know if you look at like one of my favorites right now, Kenny Omega, he wasn't around during the time that Shawn Michaels was, and you know if you take both of them in the prime, it might be a harder decision.
I mean, but I will say there are some other people. I'm not going to take away from that, right? Because I see what you're saying and I totally get behind it.
Yeah.
One thing that I will add in though is that there are some people that could have been in those conversations but aren't. Like Dolph Ziggler, who is amazing on all levels of wrestler things, but you can only do so much on your own because it still is predetermined and whatnot. Like, so if they want you to be truly on top, they'll put you there, right? So if you have the backing of certain other things and made some different stories, I think Dolph Ziggler would be one of those people that more people took seriously now, but they kind of got screwed over, you know?
Yeah.
But let's see, he said, and the Chip did say Shawn is his favorite, but so yeah, I mean, just as far as skill goes and just he's not the one thing that I would kind of knock him for is that he's not as well known. I don't think so anyway. Like, I mean, I might be wrong, but I just feel like more people know The Undertaker or John Cena than Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with you on that one.
Shawn Michaels is like one of those, and I can't name any names because I'm not like a basketball guy, but you know how they're often like the guys that are good and the people who know the sport know that they're good, but the people on the outside don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that.
Like saying Tom Brady, everybody knows Tom Brady's a good quarterback. But then if you were to mention like one of the other quarterbacks like Andrew Luck, yeah, he was a good quarterback, but he's on an awful team. So you didn't really hear a lot about the guy, but he was a good quarterback.
So yeah, same sort of thing. Like he's definitely good, right? Like, but you only knew Shawn Michaels if you were a part of the Attitude Era or slightly earlier, as he was kind
Yeah.
of building up to that point. But now it's like because after the wrestling thing, he left, and when he was gone, he wasn't doing anything else. He just wasn't there. Let's see. Scott Hall would be one of the best if it wasn't for his drinking problem. Scott Hall was one of those guys where, I mean, obviously his whole little group for the most part had some alcohol, drug, all kinds of problems. But
Yeah.
Scott Hall was one of those guys that a lot of people put him in that category like Piper, where he should have held the title and just never did for whatever reasons. But at the same time, he was one of those guys who, like, even if he didn't, like, you still knew him for who he was, and he still had a pretty good following just off of that. But yeah, I'm not gonna disagree with you there, old Robert Ballantyne. You know he's Greg the Hammer Ballantyne's nephew.
But I
Like,
don't know if you're like screwing with
well,
me
this
now or
Robert
not.
Ballantyne guy is. I mean, he might not be, but I'm just trying to get the rumor going because it seems believable. You know, it's like
Let me get on Wikipedia and change that later
because Greg isn't
because
too
that's the thing that
famous.
we can do.
Also, fun fact, what was it? I want to say I think it was How Many Times or possibly Halls of Illusions. But Greg the Hammer Ballantyne was in an ICP music video back in the 90s. Let's see, where is Ric Flair on my greatest wrestler list? Just a general estimate if you don't mind answering. Dude, this is like one of those, what do you call it, like ask me anything situations, right? So I'll answer whatever questions you guys throw out there. So, but first, I'm going to let Derek chime in because, I took the last question first. So I'll let you take this one first. Where's Ric Flair for you?
I put him pretty high up on my list. I actually have in my office at work, I've got a huge, probably about the size of your Hangman poster behind you. I got a poster of Ric Flair in all his glory, just sitting there like so. When people open the door and then they walk straight in, the first thing that they're gonna see right beyond me is Ric Flair. So I put him at a high level on my list. I wouldn't say he's at the tippy top, but he's damn close to it.
Gotcha. So would you say like Mount Rushmore consideration or like what?
Definitely Mount Rushmore consideration.
Okay. All right, cool. So here's my stance on Ric Flair, right? Now, I will start this by saying I totally missed his era. So I can only go by later things and personal opinions. So I'm not going to say he's bad, but the thing is, I never got into him, right? So when I look at him, what I see is a guy who managed to go from territory to territory all around the world and make a solid name for himself on his own, right? And that, to me, at a time like that, says a lot more than if you see somebody now and they're like, yeah, John Cena and Randy Orton are like 15-time champs or whatever the case is. It's like, yeah, but that's all like right here. It doesn't mean much to me. So even though I didn't pay any attention to Ric Flair, so I can't speak on his like how good his matches were or anything like that, the fact that he made that kind of legacy for himself on that wide of a playing field, he must have been doing something right. You know what I mean?
And I go ahead.
And Jim Cornette is a big fan. And if Jim Cornette likes the guy, because he doesn't like anything.
Yeah, right. I think with me with Flair, I think what you said about going around to the territories is one of the things that I kind of respect about that. Because even back then, you get look at the technology back then. It wasn't like you can get on YouTube and have one big match in say like an independent scene or New Japan or something, and then everybody around the world just instantly starts knowing who you are
Yeah,
because it
good point. Good
went
point.
viral. The man, like you said, went from territory to territory. And I went back and watched some of his matches, and I can't remember the exact area that it was, but him and Dusty Rhodes had a cage match, and I think he beat Dusty Rhodes, and it damn near caused a riot. So I think like at that point I realized I'm like, this guy's got it. Like he has something that I don't think any of the other territories that were around during that time. I don't think nobody nearly had a riot over a match.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Those like not being able to really see people so easily unless they were right there in front of you. So that probably
Hmm.
drew a crowd as well. I don't know if there are any specific matches, but I believe that him and Steamboat, Ric Flair and Steamboat, and also Ric Flair and Terry Funk had like a string of good matches. Because from what I
Yeah.
understand, like back then, people would just kind of like work around. You know what I'm saying? Like they'd have those two over here, like down in Tennessee, and then later they might be over in Texas, and then later they may go up a little further north or something. Just kind of taking and telling that
Hmm.
story all around. But somewhere in there, I believe that he had some really good matches with Steamboat and Terry Funk. Not three ways, but individual one-on-ones.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it's something. He also had that just seeing him, when once you start seeing him on TV or whatever, you could tell that he just had something that made you want to pay attention to him.
Yeah.
And that's the thing
And
that,
it's like, the just hearing the name Ric Flair or hearing a woo, like so many people know that and they're not even wrestling fans.
yeah, that's the other thing. It's like maybe somebody else was saying that before and he's like, yeah, that sounds cool, I'm gonna do that. Like Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan, like the yes thing, right? He took that from some
Hmm.
UFC guy. Well, he didn't take it from him, he just did it, and it's just people happen to notice him doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was yeah. So who else? Who else was from back then? That because there were a lot of people in that era that I'm sure were great and doing a lot of good stuff. But like when I started watching wrestling, I did go back and watch like a lot of old Survivor Series and WrestleManias and
Hmm.
Tuesday in Texas or whatever. So I saw a lot of people, but it's not like it was a whole bunch of people like Flair that you still hear about. Some of them were people
Yeah.
like Tatanka, you know what I mean? Like nothing against him, but he just kind of like came and later went. Like the Bushwhackers, like they
Yeah.
just kind of came and later went. Big Boss Man, he was here for a long time, but you know wasn't
Yeah.
nobody was.
He was here for a long time, but he wasn't like super relevant during that time. Like he had his little stint and then kind of like hung around after that.
Hold on a second here. So Chip is saying that, not saying he was overrated or anything, but I really disliked Gold
Uh,
You were doing all right, Chip. I was becoming a fan of you, and then you said that, and that. How dare you? How dare you come in here speaking these blasphemous words about Goldust? But no, seriously though, like Goldust is one of my favorites, right? I don't know why,
mhm.
but he is, and especially like when I saw him come back later on, and like it was probably like 2013, 2015, something like that, when he was doing the tag team with Cody, because he had been
Yeah.
gone for a while, and he came back and he like lost a bunch of weight, and he was wrestling better than he ever had in his whole career. I was like, this is the
Mhm.
same guy, because I liked him before because he was just kind of entertaining. Originally, I was kind of put off on him by the In Your House game because I was like, this is just awkward. But once I actually saw him on TV and he was doing the thing with Brian Pillman, I was like, oh, you know what? This is actually okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
cool with Goldust. I'm curious what you don't like about him. But what are your thoughts, Derek?
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed Goldust back in his earlier days, but we talked about this back when we were talking about tag teams. I still think my favorite era of Goldust is his tag team run with Booker T. I look back on that and it's just so memorable, like entertaining. Like he was very entertaining by himself, but then when he got paired up with Booker T, and we saw a side of Booker T that we hadn't really seen with like all the humorous stuff that he'd been doing, and that's still my favorite uh, era of Goldust.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that reminds me, he also had a pretty good run with R-Truth, the Golden Truth.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So as
yeah.
far as like entertainment value goes, because Goldust, he's an entertaining guy, but when he
Hmm.
needs to have like an actual good match, which mostly just happens in AEW now and stuff like that. Like did you? I don't know if you saw the Blood Brothers set.
Oh yeah, yeah. From the All Out pay per
Oh,
view or
maybe.
All In. I
But
get I get those pay per views mixed up, but it was a set based off of that match that both of them
yeah,
had.
like that one was
Yeah.
really good, you know?
Hmm.
And so just looking at him and like he can put together, something that'll make you really get engaged into what's happening if he wants to. But sometimes it's just like that's just not the way they go. You know what I mean? But it's like anybody else. I mean, you look at Chris Jericho, who if just rewinding the clock a little bit, because right now his performance in ring is a little different. But
Yeah. Yeah.
in the past, like he could go out there and he could make you laugh like nobody else, right?
Hmm.
But he could also be that good heel and do that side of it just as effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. I think him and He Who Shall Not Be Named had a little bit of beef when it came to uh, being on the mic with each other because both of them were really good on the mic.
Yeah, and that's the thing that is I don't want to say it's like a lost art now. I think it's just that it's an unexercised art because
Hmm.
when you hear people talking now, it's just it often sounds weird. But I will say currently the person that I'll listen to whenever they're on screen, Eddie Kingston, like that dude, and of course
Yeah.
MJF, but Eddie Kingston more so because MJF's kind of been doing like a slightly different thing or whatever. But him, yeah, the Walls of Jericho is probably one of the Walls of Jericho in WCW was one of the most deadliest looking moves because when he would do it on like the smaller guys like Mysterio and Juventud,
Hmm.
I was like, he's about to kill this man, or at the very
Yeah.
least
The
break him
hills
in half.
almost touched the head.
Yeah, I'm like, man, that was crazy. But and it's weird in a way to look at, if you go back and you look at like 98, I think it was like 98, 97, like the Bash at the Beach type era, and like when those were popular back then. Like looking at those cruiserweight matches and seeing like Eddie Guerrero and Mysterio, Jericho go on later to be like they're completely different people. That was a
Yeah.
crazy transformation there.
Yeah. And when you say by transformation, are you talking about how like they were so small and then they packed on all that muscle and
I mean,
everything, and
well,
is that the
there
kind of
is that.
transformation,
Well, there
or
is that
just the
too.
fact that they were like mid Carters and then they became main eventers?
More the latter because I mean, I do remember Mysterio got injured in WCW and came back with a bunch of muscle because he was gone for a long time. And Eddie seemed like he just kind of just got bigger over time. Maybe he was just younger then. I don't know. But more so just the fact that they were low on the card and just next thing you know, I'm pretty sure they've all main evented WrestleMania.
Hmm. Yeah.
And let's see, Homegrown saying the Tombstone pile driver was insane. Yes, I mean some of those are significantly worse than others because I've seen some where like you can tell that there's like no impact whatsoever. Like when he did it to is either Hogan or Flair. I want to say it was Hogan on a chair, but like his knees, I don't know, like dude's head was like halfway up his thigh. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Mysterio was fun to watch. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and now when I watch him, like when I saw him, I went to the last Raw that actually had fans in attendance back in March, and he was there, and it's like it's kind of cool to see him just because like that's Mysterio. Like I know he can't do all the stuff he was doing 10, 20 years ago, but it's still Mysterio. You know what I mean? So it's still cool to see.
Yeah.
The
So
Master
he
Lock.
mentioned something with the Master Lock. Do you remember going to RPW and
Bob Bagwell was
they were
there.
going to do the Master Lock challenge and
Yeah.
nobody I don't know who it was, but
The we're all
uh
standing chant.
yeah, we're all standing.
Dude, like that was like the weirdest show. And I mean, like looking back at it, that was like the weirdest lineup of people. Because I was looking at the card.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Revolution Pro Wrestling. It's a promotion. It might still be around. It was based out of London, but so Derek and I went to one of the shows there, and it was like I remember seeing that, and we get there, and it's like, hey, is that Buff Bagwell over there? Yeah,
Right?
like Okada was there, Austin Aries, um,
Yeah.
Drake
Rich
Maverick,
Swan.
yeah, Rich Swan, Osprey was there, right? Yeah, Osprey was there.
Yeah.
Um, who was it? Like I said, Okada was in the main event, and
Yeah. And then the what was the name? Chris Masters? Was that he
yeah, yeah,
wasn't
Chris Mack.
billed by that name, but because he came out and I didn't realize who it was at first. Oh, Shelton Benjamin was also there, I think. Uh, but they billed out Chris and I didn't realize who it was. And they start doing the whole master lock thing. And I remember looking at you, I'm like, what's this about? And you're like, dude, that's Chris Masters. It's like, oh man, okay, I totally forgot. But then they're going to do that master lock challenge, sitting down, and he starts asking for a chair from the audience. They're doing that whole "we are standing" thing. I
Yeah,
think they eventually got the chair from the ringside EMT.
it was. I didn't think about it until that happened. It's like somebody give me their chair, and it's like, wait, this is a standing event only, though. Like we don't have
Yeah,
chairs here. Like you you should have noticed that. You're in the ring. Like, don't you see all these people
right.
standing? But man, let's see. The top band finishers. I well, they brought the curb stomp back, so I kind of liked that one. What is band though? Um, I can't think of any that are banned. I mean, some are banned depending on what state you wrestle in, I guess, because you know different states have their own like athletic commissions or something, and some things just don't fly in some places. Learned that when I went to WrestleMania in Louisiana.
Mm.
But because Will Ospreay, like he came in with a shirt that said Will Ospreay versus Louisiana State Athletic Commission because they were like, no, you can't be doing this, can't be doing that, and everything they were saying he couldn't do was basically like most of his move set. So the pump handle
I
neck
think I've seen that.
was that Test
I
that
think
did
I've
that,
seen it.
Jeezy? The pump handle neck breaker? Wait, maybe that wasn't a neck breaker.
No, I think he did a pump handle slam.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what it was. That thing that Steiner used to do. The what was that thing called? It was like a pile driver, but he would just kill a man. I can't think of what it was, but that's gotta be banned. Like there's no way that's
What was
okay.
it just called? The Steiner driver?
It might have been. I felt like it had a better name, but you know,
I mean, wait, did you say Rick or Scott?
Scott.
Okay, yeah. I mean, come on, it's Scott Steiner. If he's coming up with names, it's probably not that great. You've seen him on the mic.
Yeah, you've got a 133 and 2/3% chance of being right or something. But yeah, I've been to a good number of wrestling events, and I will say my first wrestling event, I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway, was back when I was in high school in Missouri. This was like late 90s, obviously. But I remember seeing this one guy come out to the ring, and I was like, this guy seems kind of cool. He had this little necklace on, he was doing some flips and stuff. That man was Christopher Daniels, who is still around today. Yeah. And also that same, I think it was that same event, I briefly ran into Brian Lee, the fake Undertaker guy. And also they had me and a bunch of people standing around the Patriot because we were supposed to be like to stop people from getting to him. It's like, I don't know if we're the people for that, but I'm going to do this because it seems cool. So I got to be like security, the Patriot.
Yeah. I think my first wrestling gig I went to, that wasn't like some little backwoods type wrestling. I think it was Raw in Knoxville, Tennessee in 2007, 7 or 8, one of the two. I remember it was the dude from Napoleon Dynamite was the guest GM of the night or whatever, back when they were doing that whole thing. Yeah.
Something
Carlito was there.
Or something.
Yeah. So,
Man.
And then my last Raw experience, I mean, it was okay. I about saw Bobby Lashley break his damn neck. He did a suicide dive out of the ropes and came straight down on his head. I thought that was it. I thought I just seen the man die.
Man. Yeah, there are some things that just it's weird sometimes. Like you'll see something that looks so bad, and the people just walk away from it, like, "Huh, that kind of sucked." But then you look at something that can be so simple, and it's like, "Wait, he's not getting up now." It's like, no, he just tore everything in his whole lower body, like Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like,
right.
You remember that? Then you had to sit in the ring and yell at Batista.
Yeah.
There was something in here I was gonna comment on. I don't know. Can't remember what it was though. Yeah, something about going to basketball games. Like I wanted to. That's what it was. Because he said something about basketball games. Earlier last year, I was so set on going to what's that the name of that team? I have no idea. The XFL team that was in DC. I bought a T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go see one of these XFL games because I had gone to the arena, was it the Verizon Center, for that Raw, and they were advertising it. So I was like, yeah, okay, when tickets go on sale, I'm seeing the XFL live because it sounds maybe not great, but it sounds like something I want to do. And then 2020 just took a weird turn that nobody saw coming, except I guess like scientists or something, but I didn't. And so now nobody's watching the XFL.
Yeah. Supposedly, your boy The Rock is supposed to be buying the rights or something. Supposedly.
Wait,
so you may see him.
Oh yeah, the punt kick was like outlawed for a bit, wasn't it? The buckle bomb, it's not a finisher, but like Seth Rollins thing where he like almost killed Sting. But nothing.
Isn't that what also ended Draws's career? Him and D'Lo Brown.
So, from what I remember, From what I remember, D'Lo was going for one of those it was either like a sit out power bomb or one of those like ones where you just kind of like take a couple steps and then like you sit down with him, Either way, like he had him up and he was moving, and I guess he like tripped or something like that and fell, and then that was that.
Okay.
And who else?
I didn't know if it was a specific move that he was trying to do or not.
Yeah, it might have been like a sit out one or just running. I don't remember D'Lo's moveset. I saw D'Lo on TV the other day. He was on the Impact pay-per-view doing commentary. But
No.
yeah.
Good to see he's
So
back. I got a D'Lo shirt around here somewhere that I just got from
did
Pro Wrestling Tees a
I
couple months
was
back.
I think I wanted one, but I can't remember which one it was. You know, speaking of injuries and stuff, Edge injured, I think it was Savio Vega in his first match, like in Edge's first match. It was on Raw, like because I think it was a taped Raw, so everybody knew that it was going to happen. But he, like with that thing where you run and you flip over the ropes onto your
Yeah.
opponent, like outside, he did that,
Uh-huh.
but his leg came down like right on the dude's head, and it just kind of messed up his neck. And like the match, it was like the second move of the match, and then it was over because like they had to take him away. It was like the most underwhelming debut anyone has ever made. Let's see. I mean, I like Edge, but that was
Yeah.
so he looks very
Well, it wasn't technically his debut. I mean, he'd already wrestled there before, so.
yeah. It was
But I get you. I get you.
yeah, because I think it was I don't remember why it mattered though, but it was just like it's supposed to be like a big thing. Maybe it wasn't a debut, but either way, it was a big match for him for some reason because it would have been hyped up in some kind of way, I guess. And then
Hmm.
2 minutes later, it's like, well, guess we're good. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Sid Vicious leg snap. He had no business
Every
being
time
on that
we
top rope.
talk about wrestling.
However, man, I used that Sid Vicious leg snap in at least one review. I have no idea, thinking about it now, how that was relevant at all, but it made sense at the time. What review was that? Do you
I,
remember? Because I know
I
you.
remember the video because I remember commenting on it and pointing that out. Because not only did you put it in your video, but we had just talked about it. I think it was in another wrestling talk. It might have been with Jeezy.
Let's see.
Uh, but that leg snap has been coming up a lot with our interactions.
What is it? It was the okay. It was definitely in the Triple H and China video, but I feel like I used it somewhere else also. But I don't even know why it made sense in that video, like the Triple H and China 2-pack unboxing thing.
Yeah.
I have no idea, like, because that's the thing. Like, I've done a good number of videos. I'm coming up on 450 actually, but
Hmm.
people will sometimes leave like a vague comment, say like they'll say like a couple words of something that I clearly said, and they'll like blah 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 blah. Haha, that's funny because blah blah blah. And I'm like, I have no idea what this dude's talking about, because it's like if this video was not done today, I don't remember what happened in it. Period.
Yeah.
And
Now,
even if
I
you go,
don't know if this is relevant, but do you remember there's Chick Foley had posted something about Owen Hart about kicking your leg out of your leg, and then there's like a leg action figure.
yes, yeah, man, like Owen Hart was like, as I think about it and stuff, and like I see other things come up, like I wish Owen Hart had been able to, like do something other than be in rafters and stuff. Because like if he was still
Yeah,
around, I feel like that would have been pretty all right. I feel maybe
yeah,
Bret Hart also wouldn't be quite so bitter or something too. But in his defense, basically all his friends and family have died, so that probably doesn't make him feel good. Vader,
yeah.
was it like Stan Hansen? I think Vader had that match with when his eye popped out, and then he just like puts it back in.
Put the back end. Yeah,
Yeah, like that was Vader was a big tough dude from what I hear, man. Like, and then I see stories like that, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I've seen it was like watching or not watching, reading like the Mick Foley book and stuff like that. And then when you watch matches later, you see things that you didn't see before, and you see like
hmm,
like when Bradshaw and Farouk, the APA, when they were beating up Public Enemy, and they were truly hurting those people. It was on an episode of
Oh
Sunday
yeah.
Night Heat. You know what I mean? So I guess nobody cared. But they were just out there committing full-on assault on these people.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
they,
I remember Mick saying something about there's a really infamous shot, and I think they used it in like the Raw opening for a while, where it looked like Mick Foley was smiling and bleeding a lot. It was like a real sadistic look, crazy look.
Mhm.
And everybody, and this was in the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker, and
Yeah.
everybody thought that he was just smiling because he was just crazy. But what had happened was when he went through the cage, the chair that was on top of the cage came down and hit him in the face. So it actually forced his teeth through his lip, and it put a hole there. So when the camera got up on him, what people thought was him smiling was him actually trying to shove his tongue through the hole in his lip.
You know, I feel like I've heard something like that from him because I know he did a talk about that a few times. I saw one of them live, but when he was at the Funny Bone doing comedy, which it's like he was talking about his life, but I guess if you tell it right, anything can be a comedy. But anyways, he
Right.
also did the comedy or the special on the Wrestling Network, and I do remember hearing about that, something about that, how the picture was not what people thought it was.
Hmm.
But yeah, Mick Foley, he's another one of those guys where it's like, you know, he's been around. You know, he made a really good name for himself, and he didn't quite reach that Flair notoriety, at least not in the same way. But he still
Yeah.
made quite a name for himself. That like people don't know him. Like you know, if you say the name, you're like the Cell guy. Like, oh yeah, the guy. Okay,
Yeah.
they know that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised. Like out of like a lot of those wrestlers, like I'm surprised he's one of the ones that's still around, just because I can't think of anybody that's probably put their body through more.
Sabu.
Maybe, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Maybe Sabu, but outside of those two, I can't really think of anybody unless you start bringing in like all these people like doing like death matches and stuff. But that's a whole different can of worms.
Well, Mick Foley didn't rip his ear off. That was the rope that ripped his ear off. And
And the
then,
rope's been devastating to so many people.
yeah, the rope almost didn't it knock out and it knocked him out once. Enzo Amore gave him like a concussion or something.
Yeah, I was
But
about
yeah,
to say it gave him a concussion.
but Ric Flair then threw away Mick Foley's ear, something like that. I
Mm.
believe that's how the story goes.
Matt Hardy almost lost his ear in uh, the ladder match, I think, between it was him and Jeff versus Edge and Christian when they were the Brood. I think he said it was the rope that snapped and got him and almost took his ear off.
Hmm.
I think it was at No Mercy.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to remember.
It
Like
was
those guys
the
had so many
Terry
matches
Rono
together.
managerial ladder match.
They just throw whatever name they need to just to make an excuse for a ladder match.
Hmm.
But either way,
Right.
from what I hear, like those ropes are a force to be reckoned with, and Mick Foley does not care. So, but and the thing is, like, you have to wonder, like, if it was like today, well, maybe not today, but if they had the technology of today back then, what heights would Mick Foley have gone to? Because he was going around doing all this stuff for a long time to kind of like build that
Yeah.
name for himself. Whereas like nowadays, like if he had had that kind of technology or whatever, he would have like it would have been seen instantly after the one match. So he wouldn't have needed to like do this constant one-upsmanship. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we may never have gotten that him being thrown off the cage because it would have been like, hey, put me through that Spanish announce table over there. People are gonna love it. You know, that would have been the big
Yeah.
thing. Like remember that time when
Right.
he was over there and like he got body slammed through that table? right? I mean, because that's how it would have been, right? Because you think back to like,
It's always the Spanish announce table that goes first.
yeah, I don't know what's up with that. And I mean, how do they feel about that, right?
All right.
But yeah, you just look at those things and you look at like older hardcore matches and stuff and what was going on in those. Like when Cactus Jack made that debut against Triple H, I mean, it was probably like crazy for the time being, but like you watch it now, it's like you can put yourself in that mindset and like, yeah, okay, I can see how at the time this was, you know, breaking down barriers or something. But you look at it now, it's like, okay, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as opposed to like some of the stuff that we've seen out there.
Now you have like a couple years ago when what's his name, Randy Orton had the screwdriver stuck through Jeff Hardy's earlobe and he was like twisting it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you see stuff like that. It's like, okay, like that. Maybe it's not as painful as it looks, but it still looks really bad. So it definitely has the look, that's for sure.
Or when what's his name? Johnny Nitro, his tag team partner, Joey Mercury.
Yeah,
he busted his nose open.
Oh, but like wasn't there like a ladder involved or something?
Yeah. They did that seesaw ladder thing that the Hardys do, and Joey's head was just down a little bit too far, and it came up and broke his nose instantly.
Man, that and like when I think of breaking noses, I often think of Seth Rollins when he broke John Cena's nose with that knee. That was just like, he just took all of that. I mean, I'm sure he didn't mean to. Neither of them probably meant to do it that way, but man, he just, yeah. But John Cena's like got some sort of superhuman strength, so he usually makes a comeback a couple days later, no matter what happened. Somebody probably looked into that. Some kind of cyborg or something. It might not be real. But so I just noticed that I've been on here for like 2 hours. I really only set out to just kind of unbox like 5 pairs of
few things.
and I've shown those like a couple times. That was all done in like 20 minutes. And then we spent an hour and a half talking about video games and wrestling because that's what's important in the world.
Right.
But so I am
going to get people through the hard days.
What's that?
So that's what's getting it is what is getting people through the harder days.
Yeah, I mean, hey, people were watching and like they were jumping in, leaving their 2 cents, had some pretty good conversation, so that was cool. But for now, probably I'm gonna just kind of get this wrapped up so I can. I think there was something I was going to do, but at this point, it's late enough that I'm probably just not going to do whatever it was. Hopefully, it wasn't important.
Yeah.
But for now, that's all I can say about that. Hopefully,
we'll find out later.
Hopefully, whatever I'm ignoring isn't important. That's
really
cool. But for now, if you want to go ahead and say your goodbyes and whatnot, outro.
Yeah, I guess adios, people. Adios, chat. Good seeing you again. Talking to you.
All right. Oh, hold on. There's one comment. Like Chip says, it was great, man. Followed you last week, and I enjoy every video that I watched. All right, perfect, man. And again, I don't always take every request, but if there's ever something you want to hear about, I like to know from the people because at the end of the day, the people who watches the videos, I just make them. So it's kind of like, it's a team sort of thing, right? So if you have something you want to hear about or see or whatever, please never hesitate to throw it out there because sometimes I don't know. I'm just between things. And Joey Mercury nose break versus the Hardys. Yeah, man. Maybe I'll watch some wrestling later. I think there was something that I wanted to watch. What was it? Oh, I need to finish this episode of Thunder from '98. Has a Rey Mysterio versus Juventud match. So probably going to do that instead of whatever it was I'm supposed to be doing. But anyways, again, Derek, thank you. Chip, Robert Valentine, Homegrown Kicks, Liu Kang. Who else was in there? Corby was in here for a while. All the people, that came through for a minute, for 2 minutes, for 10, 150, or that's not an hour and 50. All that stuff. 150 minutes could be, well, 150 minutes isn't unheard of, not around here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not what we
I think
did.
you'll have a 4-hour one. No.
Let's
All right.
see.
Well,
His request is for me to go live more often. Okay. Sometimes, Chip, do you follow me also on Instagram? Because there are times when sometimes I go live on there too. But yeah, I do want to do this more. There was a time when I was, and then I realized like I think it was last week, I was like, man, like when was the last time I did a live where I just kind of sat down and was able to actually talk to the people and see, sometimes people want to see certain shoes, or they want to just ask questions, or just sit back and talk about whatever's worth talking about. Hey, Sean, what up? But yeah, so I definitely do need to start going live. You're more often. You're right on that. And so I'm going to probably start doing that more often. It's also a good thing to do, like after I shoot a video, and I can just kind of, since the lighting is still out, I can just sit down and do that. But yeah, I'm only saying, like, again, I'm not trying to get anybody to follow for whatever reason, but sometimes I do go live on there. So, it's something to consider. I'll say that. It's something to consider. But for now, again, thanks to everybody for coming through. I'm going to get out of here, and these shoes that you saw will probably be reviewed relatively soon. But if you want to see an actual review of shoe things, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, something is set to go live, some kind of Adidas shoe. I tell you more, but I don't remember. So there's that for you. I'm good, Sean. How are you doing? We're just kind of finishing up here, so you kind of caught the tail end of the live. But just to give you your own special recap, if you're still here, I unboxed these 3 pairs of shoes, an Air Max Plus 3, 1 and 2, right? So these 3, they'll all be getting reviewed later. So you'll get the close-ups and that normal treatment that I give things. And then these here, Comfy Cush, what do you call it? Corduroy Vans also were unboxed today. This is 2 different pairs. It's just, I'm just pulling them both up at the same time. And a couple of wrestling figures were shown off, and something else, Krang. So yeah, just doing that. So that's going to be it for us. Again, I'll start doing this more often, since that's the thing that seems to be interesting to people, and it's interesting to me. So, I just got home from football and been watching playoffs. Oh, okay. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you stopping in again. Whether it's for a minute or the whole thing or anywhere in between, it's all good, right? It all helps as far as, like, I'm not talking about like algorithmically, as far as entertainment value goes. It helps with that. So cool. But yeah, come on back next time. If you happen to have the notifications on or whatever, maybe you'll be able to get in here a little earlier, or if you're just not busy doing things that actually matter, I get it. But I'll see you guys all later. So from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. And we'll cross paths later. Cool? All right. Later, people. Let's go ahead and end the broadcast.